The Archangel Chronicles II Epilogue by Raymond Collotti, copyright 2026, all rights reserved.
Sparks in the silent night, singing words into being, stars out of sacred light. We watch the waters separate, felt the ocean's bloom, listened as the earth took shape, flowers breaking through.
They sailed to the region of Gerasenes, which is across the lake from Galilee. When Jesus stepped ashore, he was met by a demon-possessed man from the town. For a long time, this man had not worn clothes or lived in a house, but had lived in the tombs. When he saw Jesus, he cried out and fell at his feet, shouting at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High? I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had commanded the impure spirit to come out of the man. Many times it had seized him, and though he was chained hand and foot and kept under guard, he had broken his chains and had been driven by the demon into solitary places. Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "Legion," he replied, because many demons had gone into him, and they begged Jesus repeatedly not to order them into the abyss. Luke chapter 8, verses 26-30. Havelock once again found himself in the aged Land Rover beating its way up the gravel road, winding like a white ribbon through the stark landscape of the desert. Once again the truck made its way, ducking and weaving around potholes big enough to swallow it, charging into the waterless mountain passes, slowly ascending higher and higher, bucking and weaving and skidding around curves and switchbacks carved into the very shoulders of the towering heights. At last, the vehicle came to a familiar place where the road leveled off and ran up to the gates of the desert monastery at the foot of the mountain. Havelock pointed out the footpath leading from the back of the monastery, winding its way up the steep, arid slopes to the top of the mountain. "Here we are again," he said to his companions. There were two other people in the Land Rover this time. Besides his translator and friend, Hassan, was Alicia Vanini, Direttrice. They had traveled here from Alicia's lab in Abruzzo to speak directly to the hermit and get answers to the many questions raised by the scrolls they had been studying for the last several years. Havelock felt that he was in a time warp as they waited to meet with the abbot. He thought time had stood still when he heard that awesome, haunting sound of a dozen voices chanting psalms echoing through the halls. The same procession of bearded monks dressed in black robes, led by the abbot with his long white beard, filed in, just as they had on his first visit here years ago. Havelock and his companions enjoyed the hospitality of the monks at dinner, and when that was finished and the tables cleared, Hassan again translated for Havelock and Alicia. "The abbot says that the anchorite, the man we came to see, has left us a message. The holy man knew that we were coming. He says that we are to go up the mountain and stay there until he returns, said Hassan. Return? From where? How long are we going to have to wait? The abbot says that the holy man comes and goes, but yet never leaves his cell. He says this is a great mystery. He says that, while the door to his cell always remains locked when the man is not in it, the holy man disappears sometimes for many days at a time, but he always comes back. He says you must go there and wait and have faith, and he will come back. Havelock, Hassan, and Alicia made the difficult climb the next morning with the help of several monks. Havelock, Alicia, Hassan, and 3 monks settled in the chapel to wait. Blankets were spread on the pews to make makeshift beds. The chapel was far older than the mountain paths that led to it. A simple rectangle of stone, a narrow door, and the stone lean-to that enclosed the anchorite's cell. Like a jail, it was accessed only through a thick iron door from the inside of the chapel. One monk opened the flap, revealing the interior of the cell, which was sparse, with only a table, a chair, a bookshelf, and a cot. The walls were whitewashed, and there was no atom in the cell. Havelock, Hassan, Alicia, and the 3 monks settled down to wait. When it grew dark, the monks lit several dozen candles. The group spread out blankets on the pews and waited. They read, spoke quietly with each other, and eventually fell asleep in the candlelit interior. At 3 o'clock in the morning, in the darkest marches of the night, the wind began to growl and then to howl. Ragged clouds streamed across the face of a quarter moon, blotting out all light. The candles in the chapel guttered, flickered, and flared, but did not go out. The clamor of the wind outside awoke Havelock and his party. They sat up in their blankets, shivering and looking at each other, wide-eyed. Flashes of lightning illuminated the interior of the chapel through the narrow windows, casting a ghostly gray-blue illumination through the staccato, strobe-like flashes. The howling of the wind was shattered by a tremendous sizzle and crack as lightning struck very close nearby. Havelock and his group huddled in fear. They had never been so frightened in their entire lives. Unseen to Havelock and his group in the chapel, Adam was now, inexplicably, back inside his cell, kneeling and alone. Suddenly, the wind stilled, and the thunder and the lightning abruptly ceased. In the chapel, Havelock and the group were now on their feet, huddled together in a circle, back to back, their faces peering out, looking at the walls of the chapel lit by the golden glow of the candles. They all felt it. Something was coming. Inside his cell, Adam waited for the familiar presence. He removed the Cairo medallion from Melicor's box and put it around his neck. It vibrated, grew very warm, and glowed. Adam felt it first on his shoulders, a pressure, like hands settling there without weight. Then he sensed the pressure in the walls of his cell and the chapel outside it. The stone blocks began to creak and move, not with age, but with resistance. Havelock and his group felt it as well, a scrape along the stones, an unseen breath. They felt the sense of being leaned into by something that did not need flesh to press its weight. Inside his cell, Adam did not move. He kept his hands folded, his eyes open. The next sound came, not a voice, not words, but friction, a whispering, a rasping, a rendering formed as if something were testing the limits of the chapel and Adam's cell, feeling for seams. In the chapel, Havelock and his group felt it too. They were paralyzed by fear and clutched at each other in terror. The door between the chapel and Adam's cell shuddered and clanged as if hit by a hammer. Inside his cell, Adam exhaled slowly. He called out, "You may rage, but the power of a Son of the Most High, the child of light that dispels your darkness, you may not enter." Havelock heard these words, which were spoken not loudly, but with intent. The unseen, dreaded, and despairing presence swirled around the chapel and Adam's cell. It hissed, but not in sound that could be heard, but rather felt. They all sensed the intent of the presence. "You are all alone here." Adam, in his cell, still kneeling, raised his head and spoke. "No, we are unmoving." The walls groaned. In the chapel, something struck the altar, not hard, but again and again like a knuckle, tapping, patient and cruel. It was becoming unbearable. Havelock and his companions, huddled together, bowed their heads and shut their eyes. Adam in his cell said nothing. He knew better than to acknowledge the presence, for the thing that it wanted most was witness. The air thickened. Adam's knees trembled. A weight drove him forward, forcing his hands flat against the cold stone floor. He caught his breath, sharp and shallow. In the chapel, Alicia turned to Havelock, her heart racing. "Did you feel that?" she whispered. Hassan raised his head, eyes narrowed, scanning the candlelit room. "Yes," he said quietly. Inside the cell, Adam pressed his forehead to the stone floor. "In the name of Jesus Christ, Son of the Most High, the living God, this ground is claimed," he said quietly. The weight slammed him sideways. His shoulder struck the wall, and pain flared red, bright, and searing. But Adam welcomed this. That pain meant a boundary had been reached. "You have nothing here," he continued, his breath steadying. "No flesh, no voice, no future." Adam felt the pressure rise, but it did not retreat. But neither did it advance. The presence banged at the iron door to his cell. It rang like a bell, but held. Adam reached for the truth he had learned long ago to steady himself. Endurance was much more powerful than force. Minutes passed, then hours. Time seemed to suspend itself. At last, the pressure receded, not gone, but spent, like waves dissolving into foam against a rocky shore. Silence returned, and then a glowing peace, as Adam sensed the presence of the archangels. Adam remained kneeling long after. When he finally arose, the dawn had not yet come, but it was near. He touched his bruised shoulder and winced. Then he walked to the iron door and opened it. Havelock and his companions stood as Adam entered the chapel. The light of the flickering candles, which had not gone out, cast a golden glow across their pale and weary faces after the ordeal. "Who? What? How?" stammered Havelock, unable to articulate his fear and wonder at what had just been experienced. "The enemy," said Adam, like a storm in the night. "Did it win?" whispered Havelock uneasily. "No," said Adam. "It learned." Havelock frowned. "Learned what?" Adam led the group out of the chapel door into the chilly morning air. "That this place is not open to them," he said. The stone chapel stood behind them, scarred but intact and unmoved. Adam looked below and could see the last tendrils of the blackness from which no light can escape, ebbing away down the mountain as the sun threw its first rays of light over the horizon. Havelock, Hassan, and Alicia stood behind Adam. Havelock spoke, fear and awe in his voice. Who are you, really?" Adam breathed in deep and looked out onto the world below. "I am Adam Anyone, healer, traveler, and now keeper of the thresholds." Adam turned to the group. "My dear friends," he said, "the first part of my journey is now done, but yours is just beginning. Together, we must make another one here in this world, in this time, back to Abruzzo, to the cave, to the grotto where you found the scrolls. It's time you finally met my soulmate, the scribe who wrote them, Sophia." Music from the prologue. Archangel's Song, words by Raymond Collodi, voice and music by Marika A.I. From Epidemic Sound, Desert Footsteps by Sight of Wonders. A March Across Ancient Land by John Abbott. Kyria eleison by Silver Maple. Crypta by Joe Wandrini. Terra Requiem by Dan Shuai. Aeternum by Christopher Modilifson. Archangel Chronicles 2. Prologue. Copyright 2026 by Raymond Collodi. All rights reserved.
You name the shadows on the wall. Believe they're really there. Jealousy from the fallen heart. A will that would not bend. Cast from love into the dark, plotting humankind's end.